Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone out there in the world, wherever you are. Please do post a comment in the chat. Would love to know where you're tuning in from. My name is Catherine Mattice. I am the founder and CEO of Civility Partners, and we focus on building positive, thriving work environments through workforce surveys, taking that data and figuring out what in the world do we do with that data? How do we make changes? Through lots of training programs and of course, coaching. And we do all of this work through culture change around making behavior change in individuals, helping the organization make change, and then, of course, working with leadership. So that's my spiel. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Thanks, Amber, for being here with me today. I've got Amber, who's founder of the Pathwayz Group, and she was just telling me she's got a book coming out, so we'll need to talk about that. And your book is on the competitive advantage. And is it called Uniquely Better? Is that the name of the book?
It is called Uniquely Better, about how to create competitive advantage in teams. Yes.
I love that. So we're going to talk about teams, learning and development, or L&D, and all kinds of good stuff. So thanks, Amber, for joining me.
Thank you for having me. It's wonderful to be here.
Yeah. So give us a quick spiel on the Pathwayz Group. What services do you offer, so we have a context of the conversation?
Yeah. So the Pathwayz Group is a learning and development organization. We work with companies all over the globe in doing learning and development on topics like leadership, on HR, on team performance, working in things like communication and performance feedback, really helping to upskill teams and organizations so that they can perform better. We do this through a variety of workshops, lunch and learns, online learning, workbooks, things of that sort. So we have an international team. We're in Europe, Asia, North America, and some in South America as well. So really a global operation and a lot of fun.
That's awesome. I love that. I love the world we're in now, where we can easily say we've got people all over the world and we get to learn and grow from interacting with those people. So it's awesome. Tell us about your book. What's in the book?
So the book, Uniquely Better, is really about how to create competitive advantage within teams. And it's more of a strategic look told from the story, a true story of before I did L&D, before I was in HR director. I actually left my job in corporate and became a football coach. I was the only American, only female, only blonde academy football coach for soccer teams, Paris Germain Academy in Bangalore, India. And so it talks about how we went from more of a command control dynamic to one of more creativity and collaboration and true competitive advantage within our team. Now that's the context of the story. The strategies that you'll get is more of how we refined our processes, how we refined the resources and the methods within our team. We take a look at the projects that we had, the events, the initiatives that we took. And then lastly, last but not least, the roles, right? The actual people within the team. And what I found is these 4 pillars really do make the competitive advantage of a team whenever you're looking at going from one healthcare system to another, one restaurant to another. Yes, it's the food. Yes, it's the care. It's also the process and how you go through that. It's the resources, the methods, it's the initiatives, it's the people. And so it's a real strategic look that can be applied in really any facet of competitive advantage you have within your team, whether that be performance, your diversity and inclusion initiatives, your recruitment initiatives. How can we recruit better than our competitor? This is a strategy on how you can do that. So it's so within the context of a soccer team, it can be applied within any organization.
Everyone loves a good sports metaphor, so I'm sure your book will be wildly popular. Put that out there in the universe. Well, that's awesome, and congrats on doing that. I know writing a book and getting it out there is a lot of work, so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I want to talk with you about learning and development, because that's a big piece, or the piece that your organization really brings. So, what are, well, let's start with just your experience. So obviously the soccer team, but tell me more about how did you end up in the world of learning and development, or L&D? What's your experience in that realm?
Great question. So, my formal education, if you're looking at my undergrad, my graduate degree is in organizational dynamics, so organizational communication. So, there's a lot of training and development courses and formal education that have certifications within L&D. This is something that I have had a passion for and have wanted to do really since the beginning of my career. Now, how that has looked in application has been a little different. I worked in human resources for a large healthcare organization for several years. Naturally, here you're looking at how to set up your doctors and your nurses and your techs up for success. There's a huge learning and education component there.
Yeah.
From there, I've worked with professional football teams, soccer teams overseas. Did curriculum development, curriculum design there. And then I was the HR director for a national education leadership company. And so we worked in all 50 states, we worked in several other countries as well, working with schools and universities and building that curriculum. So whenever I started my own company, it really was pulling inspiration from instructional design from a coaching perspective, from a sports perspective. So I have certifications, experience there. It was pulling instructional design from a education, academia perspective, and then of course pulling L&D from a corporate perspective. And so the result of that is a type of instructional design that has a lot of inspiration from different approaches to have a more holistic view of learning.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a bit of my experience and where those inspirations come from.
Okay, I definitely resonate with that, because in graduate school is when I started studying workplace culture and workplace bullying, my super special niche, and really understood that all from an academic place. And then, of course, getting into consulting, learning the practitioner version, and they don't always match up. So you get, inspiration from sort of both sides, and then you can make something that's unique and probably even better because it's pulling from a lot of other places. I'm curious about learning and development in terms of trends and where we're going. So let's start with current trends. What are some of the current trends, especially during COVID? I think L&D got a leg up. Anybody in L&D, because everybody had time, they were learning, and the companies were like, here, learn some stuff because we don't have clients or whatever. And so I'm curious now, kind of post pandemic, what are the trends right now?
Yeah. So a few trends. So I'll point out three major trends. So the first trend, really starting at COVID, is the modality of learning. I'll even go further and say the attention span of learning. So micro learning had been before COVID. We had online learning before COVID. Naturally, whenever we were all remote, I say we went from Broadway to television, right? We were all on stage, we were all in person, then we went to TV. And so you're seeing that shift from a majority in person, we went to a majority online. Now we're seeing that hybrid model. I don't believe we're ever going to go back to fully in person. You're seeing a real hybrid of online. I own my own time of learning. I can do a micro learning session on my own. I can read something. I can watch a video, and then I'm going to meet in person. So we're seeing that trend of a hybrid approach in terms of L&D. So that's the first thing. Just in terms of modality and attention, right? Rather than a 4-hour in-person session, you might see 2.5 hours of independent learning and then an hour and a half in person. So that's kind of the first trend. The second trend is the lifespan, or the shelf life of your learning. It's getting shorter and shorter. And that's simply because the workplace is evolving. so quickly. You're seeing, especially from a technical side, we work quite extensively with technology companies. You're seeing that tech life just get shorter and shorter. And so you look at places like Microsoft, and they've actually adapted a know it all to a learn it all mode mentality,
Hmm.
meaning I'm the shelf life of everything I learn is getting so short that by the time I learn it, it's already evolved. We already have a new iteration. There's already a new version coming up. And so I need to know the foundation. I need to know where to go, right?
Hmm.
How do I continuously learn, continuously grow? Things are changing so fast. You're never going to get to know it all. We
Right.
are going to have a mentality to learn it all, to continuously learn. I was working with a company manufacturing organization, and very, very transparently told their employees, hey, about 30% of this workforce, your job is not going to exist in the next 7 years.
Yeah.
We're evolving technology. It's just not going to happen. Now, the
Yeah.
thing that I liked about this is they said, here's the reality: 30% of the workforce population not going to exist in 7 years. We're going to commit to keeping you on board. You have to commit to learning these new skills. And so they're proactively upskilling their team
That's
right
awesome.
now. Talk about loyalty, talk
Yeah.
about, just real honest communication with your team. And so obviously there are some people that might say, I don't really feel like, learning this new skill. I'm going to go somewhere else. Okay. You're opting out of that.
Right.
A vast, vast, vast majority of the organizations saying, yes, we're leaning into this learning. We're leaning into this continuous development. And so those are just a couple of stories to reiterate: the shelf life of learning is getting shorter. The importance of learning is getting more important now
More.
than ever before. Um, so that's I guess the two biggest trends that I'm seeing is the modality and the mentality towards learning and development.
Yeah.
Now I'll tell you something that this is more of a trend that we're leaning more into is the variety of modalities. All right, so we talked about hybrid learning. um, Rather than just watching an online course and meeting in person, we also have Slack groups or team groups. You have collaborative learning. You have more of a community of learning that is going on. We saw this happen quite a bit through COVID, right? Like you said, hey, we don't really have clients. We're going to learn. You saw people come out and connect with the industry
Mm-hmm.
more. And
Mm-hmm.
especially if you have remote team members, they may not be getting that insight from every person in their immediate organization. And so we're seeing more of an external look and learning of how can I learn from the HR community, learn from the developer community, the nursing community. And so
Mm-hmm.
we're seeing more of a community approach to learning, which organizations, if I'm a company, I can lean into that uh,
Yeah.
and utilize that to upskill my team. So those are the three trends that I'm seeing in terms of L&D.
Do you think that maybe it's a little off topic? I'm going to ask about AI, but I just think in general, maybe even outside of AI, the concern about AI a lot of people have is that now you don't have to learn how to do things. I don't have to learn things to write a blog. I can just have, AI write it for me, kind of a mentality. And I think there's a real concern that the younger generation, especially, now they're not learning how to learn. And I'm
Mm.
just thinking about my daughter outside of AI, but sometimes if she doesn't know a math problem answer, I hear her, Alexa, what's 352 times? And I'm like, oh my gosh, once she figures out, or if I'm not home when she's in high school and she's just getting the answers like that. What are your thoughts on that? Are we heading down a path where we're not learning the way that we should, or we're just taking in information and then discarding it because now we don't need it? It's what are your thoughts on all of that?
So great question. I'm glad that you brought that up. So the approach that we have to AI, you said, are we not learning the way that we should? I think the better way to say that is we're not learning the way that we used to. Um, and I think about, I used to memorize all the phone numbers and memorize addresses, and because I needed to. Now they're saved in my phone, right? And so I think that we have a different focus on what we're learning. What we're learning. If you're looking at AI is a tool, and sure, AI could put together a learning journey, right? So look at my job, right? They can put together a learning journey, and I use that, right? I'll use that. It can help put together a learning journey, and then I'm going to talk to the client, and I'm going to help customize that. I'm going to help create it unique. And so I think that what we're seeing with AI is if you are wanting to do just the basic bare bones, yeah, AI can be a tool for that, and it can be a good starting point.
Yeah.
The human side is where we make it special. It's where we make it unique. And so the way we approach AI is just it's another tool, right? And learning how to use another tool, but that's important, right? It's the same thing as you using a calculator, right? I may not fully remember how to do all of the long division math. I know how to use my calculator. Okay, well, it's just using the tool to get the right outcome, right? Now, I still have to know what to put in my calculator. I still have to know, okay, does that look right? Okay, have I asked the right questions? I still have to create that human side to it. And I'm using that as a tool to complement what my end goal is. And so, I think that AI has a powerful place in learning and development. And we use it within our job within reason, right? When appropriate, within reason. We're still developing this, but we'll use it where appropriate, and we'll use it within reason as a tool in addition to the creativity, the insight, the innovation that we have within our team. So, that's kind of where we're looking at. And we have courses, we have classes on AI and communication, right? AI and HR, right? And so we'll use AI as an additional tool, and we teach that.
Yeah, same here. We'll write something in AI, and it just saves you from the energy, the brain energy of starting from scratch in your brain, so you can be even more productive because we weren't working hard enough before AI. I hear you. I do get concerned when I hear my daughter, Alexa, what's blah, blah, blah. She doesn't do it all the time. But to your point, we also had calculators, which as long as you know what to ask, I guess, fair enough. AJ has a question. Let me put it up here. Amber, I can understand you have cross-collaborated your experience in academia with sports perspectives to L&D organization globally, but as AI is out now, what are the emerging best practices for upskilling and reskilling employees in a changing environment?
And I'm seeing traditionally AI is a tool, and as human trained models, it's different. Yeah. I want to make sure I'm reading this question correctly. What are the emerging best practices for upskilling in a rapidly changing environment? Yeah. So whether it be AI or, AI is the term, the toy right now, the tool right now that we're talking about, this is going to continuously change. Understanding the tools that you have in your toolbox and how to use them, that's going to be a part of learning and development. Right now, we're talking about tech tools. Before there's always been new tools that we use. So AI to me is just another tool. It's another tool that we can use. And it's important that we integrate that we use that within our L&D, right? So here you're saying, using it globally. I'm going to make sure I'm asking the right prompts, that I'm being in tune to the purpose of my use of this tool. And the reality is, like every tool, AI is not going to be the go-to tool for every situation that I have. So part of this training has to be, this is a situation where it is appropriate, where it is useful to use AI. This is a situation where another tool might be better, right? So part of it is understanding these are the tools that are available. This is how I can use the tool. This is when it is appropriate to use the tool. And these are maybe some tools that could be better, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, AI is a big tool, right? It's bigger than some of the other tools that we've seen.
And it came by storm, man. It was just out
storm.
of nowhere. All of a sudden, it was like AI, everybody's using it.
And it came by storm. And it came by storm, and it can be a powerful tool. You look at people who have other experience. It's the same thing, right? I can use a calculator the same way that a Nobel Prize winning mathematician can use a calculator. This does not even the playing field before us. Right? They still have additional insight and additional knowledge and tools, right? They have so many other tools, right? So while a calculator does a lot to help elevate my mathematical skills, it's not going to completely replace and put me at the same level as someone who has those skills, right? And so you see the same thing with things like HR, right? AI will help you write a policy. You still need to have the knowledge of your law, your culture, your team.
Is this a good policy? Do I need? Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
I want to add too, with you're asking about upskilling and reskilling. I think it's really important that organizations take a step back and really map out the future of the jobs that they have now and figure out what's coming down the pipeline that would potentially mean that we'd have to lay some people off, or could those people shift into managing the new technology or running that new technology? And so not to make a sale here, but I do have a LinkedIn Learning course if anybody has LinkedIn Learning on job design. And I think that's a key piece, is like, what exactly does this job look like now and in the future? Making conversations around performance and professional and personal growth with your employees really important, because together you can plot out the future of this person's job and the future of the job they're doing and how that might change over time. So that's kind of my answer.
Exactly the story that I gave earlier of, hey, here's the reality. These jobs are no longer going to exist in this company.
Yeah.
Here's what we're going to do about it. Right.
Yeah.
This is not a doom and gloom, situation. It's a proactive conversation. Now, say the company did not do a job analysis and waited 7 years. Okay. Now we're in a different boat. So I think that when you look at emerging technology, manufacturing has been doing this for years, right? You look at a new machine, a new way to work more efficiently. How do we do right by the people who have committed to this company?
Yeah. It's interesting too. I know when ATMs first came out, everybody thought it's going to eliminate all these jobs. So it actually created jobs because people need to maintain those ATMs, and somebody has to manufacture them and all of that good stuff. So on all of this note, how do we prepare for all of this? I mean, it's great in theory. Sit down, review your job descriptions, think, understand what the future holds and plan accordingly. Kudos to that manufacturing company, but I suspect most organizations are not on the up and up in that way. So short of blocking off 3 weeks for me to sit down and research the future of consulting, how can I plan for the future? What do I need to be thinking about?
Yeah. Well, the first question I'm going to ask is, well, what are the immediate gaps that you already have? Right. So what are these immediate gaps? And so we do look at, the future planning. First things first, where are you at right now? What are the skills that are missing? What are the knowledge that is missing right now? So that's going to be my first question. The next thing I'm going to ask is, well, how can we provide that information?
Mm-hmm.
And I always laugh whenever I say this. The answer does not always have to be, oh, we need more training, right?
Right.
we need
Please
Amber
don't
to
make
come
that
in and
thing.
facilitation. I mean, and we'll have that conversation of, I know you're wanting us to do facilitation. That's not really what is going to be most beneficial in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
And it might simply be, hey, you're seeing productivity levels low. You think it's because of lack of training. We're actually seeing a process challenge here, right? So,
Right.
so we have to look at productivity, the gaps, performance in the gaps right now, and what are we doing to prepare our people for success right now? That's going to be the first question I need to ask. Right. Then I'm going to look at what are the upcoming needs. Now, it's and like you said, this can be a 3-week conversation. No, I want you to look at 2 or 3 skills that are going to be important for the upcoming future of your organization. Now, you may have noticed this as well, Catherine. After COVID, I see a little bit of preparing for the future. We don't know if there's going to be another pandemic happen, right? I understand. This is why we're not creating a 15-point plan. We're choosing 2 or 3 areas. We're equipping people with the challenge now. I skipped a point here. We're equipping people for the challenge now. We're getting data on has our learning been effective, right? That's why we don't really say training and development. It's learning and development. It could be going to a conference. It could be, right, whatever that is. Has that been effective? What have we done well? What can we do better? Where are we looking to go? All right, now I'm going to boil that down to 2 or 3 areas that I'm going to focus on. That's all we need. That's all we're going to do. One thing that we've seen, let's take the example of leadership development, is we go, okay, there's 12 months in a year. We're going to have 12 different leadership topics and go through one a month. And what we find is it's so divided.
Mm-hmm.
While there's so many aspects of leadership, it's incredibly powerful to choose even one a quarter, right? And we'll get that performance feedback in one. I mean, that could be a whole year, right?
Right.
Performance feedback on setting expectations, on giving feedback, on receiving feedback, on using performance data to drive, to coach feedback, right? So you're looking at the same topic more in depth, and that's where we see a better data collection, right? It's hard to go to one course or go through 1 month and get data and see the effectiveness.
Yeah.
Choose 1 or 2 topics and really going deep. You're going to have better data. You're going to be able to make better data-driven decisions. You're going to see a better business impact, and you're able to have continuity throughout the organization. You have that consistent language and consistent focus. Now, a question that I may get here is, Amber, you're giving an example of leadership. We have leadership or people skills. We have safety training. We have technical training. We have compliance. We have so many things. And that's where it can get, L&D departments can get overwhelmed. And so, my response to that is, even though I haven't seen the question, my response to that is we're going to compliance and safety. Those are a little bit different, right? We need to be comprehensive in those.
Yeah.
You're looking at technical training, people skills training. There, I'm going to choose 1 or 2 per topic. If I do anything more than that as an individual, it just gets overwhelming.
Right. And you can use, we use like Kahoots is a big one, we absolutely collect data all throughout training through polls. And then we can say, well, here's the next training we should do based on that data or the comments we heard. So never off the shelf. And I love it when I get the call. Could you do a training on, civility and respect at work? Because we have some bullying. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that for you. I'll do some other work and then I'll do the training for you. But the training's not solving anything. So
Mhm.
I do see organizations, as many trainers and L&D professionals do, see training as the go-to. And it's like, well, you got to look at the organization as well and collect data, figure out what people need, why they're not doing it correctly, and you think they need training and all of that. So I'm with you.
And Catherine, I'll add one more, and this is something that we talk with our team quite a bit about, is understanding the purpose of your learning. It is critical. And there's a colleague of mine, he's out of Harvard Business Review, and he talks about the three purposes he puts in the context of innovation. We put it in the context of learning. Your three purposes are going to be either to fix, improve, or create something new.
Mm-hmm.
So let's put this in the context of Amber. We want some learning on team building, right? We want to learn some skills on how to build our team. And so my first question is, like, well, why? Cool. Why do you want this? And I kid you, this is a true story. In the same week, I've had 3 different clients call and ask for team building. The first had, like what you said, strife. They really didn't care for each other. There was a lot of conflict. And so they were wanting to really repair their team. It was a fixing conversation. This is incredibly different. The entire design is going to be different than a team that is healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And they
Exactly.
said, okay, we want team building because we want to elevate. We're good here. We just want to go to the next level.
Right.
That's a different conversation than, again, same week, the company that called and said, we want team building because we've just acquired 2 new companies and we don't know each other, right? We just need to get to know each other. And so you have to look and see, okay, are we fixing? Are we repairing? Are we doing something new? And you look at that in customer service, right?
Yep.
Different approaches. You look, right? No matter the topic, we have to be more catered. And this is where we have to keep this in mind as we're designing, as we're preparing, whether it be an article, an online course, or whatever it is. Does this fit the need of repairing, of improving, or of introducing something new to the team? And so I think that's something that's oftentimes overlooked. We know, we run a survey and we see that communication is a top topic that people want to learn about. Don't ask that next question of what does that mean?
Right.
And so that's really going to enhance your effectiveness in building your learning.
100%. Communication is a great example. We, of course, do surveys, and the questions are around communication in the team, communication with your manager, communication across the company, in between departments, so that, because if it's just, we need better communication around what, and what do you mean, more timely, more just, that's a great example of just like how many pieces there could be of something, and to really make sure you're digging in. Well, Amber, we are out of time. Thank you so much for being here with me. And you can all reach out to Amber if you'd like at her website, the Pathwayz Group, or you can visit her on LinkedIn. I'm sure she'd be happy to chat with you. So thank you, Amber, again for being here with me.
Thank you so much, Catherine. Appreciate it.
Yep. Bye, everyone.